Welcome to our meeting on April 6, 2026. New Britain Township Board of Supervisors, would you please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The board has met in executive session on March 25th, on April 2nd, and right before this meeting to discuss personnel and litigation matters. Presentation. We don't have any presentations this evening. Motion to consider the consent agenda. Approved minutes of March 2nd, 2026 Board of Supervisors meeting. B, approve regular bill list as follows, dated February 26, 2026, March 12th, 2026, and April 1st, 2026, for a total amount of $186,939.37. C, approve prepaid bill list as follows, dated February 26, 2026, dated March 5th, 2026, dated March 12th, 2026, dated March 19th, 2026, and dated March 26th, 2026, and dated April 1st, 2026, for a total amount of $578,249.70. D, approve escrow release number 1 to Birch Run Toll Mid-Atlantic LP Company, LC, in the amount of $654,092.00. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Second. All calling the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
6, action items. Consider a motion to separate with Township Manager Dan Fox.
I will make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Calling the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
B, consider a motion to hire Terry Fedorchak as interim township manager beginning April 7th, 2026.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
Calling the motion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Action item C, consider a motion to approve the 2026 road program. Craig, can you explain that to us, please?
Yes, I'll pinch hit for Ryan since he's under the weather. Your 2026 road program proposal that Ryan had prepared is for the Oxbow Ridge development and also the Tower Hill Grove development. I know everybody's interested in which roads are going to be paved, so I'll go through them real quickly. In Oxbow Ridge is Cassandra Drive, Shady Hill Drive, Thornbury Court. In Tower Hill Grove development is Blackburn Drive, Grove Circle, Nightingale Circle, Blossom Hill, Morningside Court, Bellevue Way. And in addition, there'll be removal of 11 existing ADA curb ramps. We'll be updating and installing 20 new ADA compliant curb ramps in that development. The total proposed mileage for 2026 for the road program would be 1.26 miles. Ryan and his team estimated the cost based on information of approximately $568,526 for the road program that was just listed. There's a further breakdown of the individual costs, I think, in your packet. I don't think I need to go through that, but I can answer any questions that you have.
Does the board have any questions?
No.
Are there any questions from the public? Hearing no questions, do I have a motion to approve the 2026 road program?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Calling the motion, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Item D, consider a motion to approve the Bucks County Consortium Material Bid Award Recommendation. Craig, can you
Uh,
pinch hit for Ryan?
I'll
Yeah.
take that one. On Tuesday, February 24th at 10 o'clock, bids were opened at Salisbury Township. This is part of the Bucks County Consortium joint bids. After reviewing the bids, the staff is recommending the Board of Supervisors award to the low bidder, which is Eureka Stone Quarry, an amount of $58.95 per ton. They were the lowest qualified bidder. And Ryan notes here that there is actually a decrease in costs this year of $3.25 per ton. So yay. So staff is recommending awarding the bids to Eureka Stone Quarry as recommended by Bucks County Consortium.
Do I have a motion to approve awarding the bid to Eureka Stone Quarries?
Motion to approve?
I'll second.
Well, I will disqualify it to the fact that we're saving $3.50 per ton, but we're losing more than $3.50 in
That's
transporting it.
I didn't even catch that.
Well,
You know,
I guess it evens out in the end.
we won't discuss paying more for anything these days. All those in
No.
favor, please say aye.
I hear that.
Aye. Okay. Item E, discussion of EAC recommendation on grading, erosion, and sedimentation control. Craig, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, once I get paid for it.
Okay, I'm
All
sorry.
right, that's all right.
Craig was kind enough to pinch hit for Ryan, who is not well.
All right. So we reviewed the recommendations from the EAC and actually, I'm going to try not to get in a lot of detail, but I think we addressed most of their concerns and they may not have been aware of some of what the township does and what we do as well from our office, but along with Scott's office. The township is notified, we're actually notified, township zoning officers notified regarding almost every step of the construction. I'm not going to go into the details of, I picked out the Birch Run Toll Brothers agreement. There's notifications here at every step of the way. Now, there's not specifically just, I think we're focused on soil, topsoil. There's not a specific for that. We typically do not inspect the soil at the level I think that they're requesting. Scott and I did speak of that, and because we don't, it's not a public improvement. And on larger jobs, we're there. High Point, Birch Run. In fact, I will point out, High Point, any excess soil, they're required per our negotiations and development agreement to put in 10 inches of soil in all open space areas if there's excess, not just the 6 required by ordinance. So that's something that the staff, my office does. So that was something we negotiate with them if there's excess. Birch Run, I will tell you, I actually have the soil log working with the bigger developers, they're used to this. So Toll Brothers has a log. I just got a copy of it. They have up to 12 inches of soil, and they do test borings throughout the development. We review those. And not every smaller developer does that, but the big ones do. And then they just actually are requesting to remove topsoil. We denied that, said you have to get a waiver from the supervisors. They, I think right now chose not to. They may reconsider for your next meeting. But they do negotiate. I think one of the issues with the EAC went out to one of the smaller developments, Mill Ridge, I believe, and there wasn't as much soil out there. Those developments take years to finalize, and we're not out there inspecting. We expect the grading, the stormwater, the roads, curbs, sidewalk, all the public improvements. So we're not out there measuring the topsoil. What the New Britain Township has is the property owner must sign off acknowledging that they have 6 inches of soil on their property. I have that acknowledgement and everything, and as one line item, that's all contained in your residential disclosure statement. That's something this township we implemented a long time ago. It's really nice. If they're not happy, that's usually when I get a call prior to settlement that they have rocks or there's downspouts that are, eroding. If it's site work, I will look at it. If it's building related, that's Randy. So they go through and there's a whole checklist. It's the residential disclosure statement. And before they get an occupancy permit, they must sign off and it says 6 inches of topsoil.
You say they, are you talking about the purchaser, the
The
resident?
purchaser, and they're supposed to meet with the developer and they're supposed to acknowledge that they understand all of it. And if they don't, they're supposed to it's recommended that they hire a professional to review on their behalf. They usually don't come to us unless if it's something small, we try to answer it. It's actually under chapter 11, if you want to look, chapter 11 in the codes, residential disclosure statement. It's still the same one. You've been using that for years. It goes through the entire, usually what the developer does is attach a copy of the record plan, all the requirements, all the easements, what they can and can't do with their property. And one of the items is 6 inches of topsoil. That they are aware that the 3-to-1 slopes is the maximum grade. They're aware that we have a minimum 6 inches of topsoil required on each lot. Now, it says topsoil in this agreement. Your ordinance does not say topsoil, it says soil. And I was just speaking with a couple of the EAC members. There's some miscommunication. It's not topsoil, it's soil in your ordinance. So I don't know if everybody's aware that we keep throwing that around. I even did, it was corrected by my staff several times. Your ordinance says soil. Your residential disclosure does say topsoil. No one's argued that. And other townships have 4 to 6. It's usually about that range. That's very common. So as far as I think removal of topsoil, that is an issue in every township where the developers will remove topsoil and no one's there to see, obviously they're going to do it when we're not there. It typically happens on the more estate home developments where it takes 2 to 3 years to develop. Once all the public improvements are done, we're not there. We only get notified by the township to go out and do the inspections. Randy's out there, the zoning officers may be out there. They are looking out for it, but they typically are not going to remove topsoil on any staff member or my team's there. But we get all the notification happens. Also at pre-construction meeting went through with Janine, we do notify them about the topsoil. Actually, since the AEC brought it to my attention a while ago with the Mill Ridge, we're actually putting that note on our plot plan reviews as well now. So there's a couple other notes we have. We added that note just so it's multiple places. But ultimately, the resident, before they move in, has to sign off on that they're happy with that. And if they're not, that's their chance to say something. So
And that's pre-settlement.
pre-settlement. And typically, like I said, mentioned before, it's usually we have too many rocks that's too rocky or there's big rocks in it. So
Do you think there's a need to match our code with our ordinance? It's something we
I
could
would
look
like to
into.
clarify. I just noticed, and no one else noticed that it said topsoil versus soil. So that's something we handle administrative, although it is chapter 11. So I guess we would have to change that. I'd rather have it say topsoil.
Okay.
Okay. But so Tollway asked, just for example, a couple weeks ago, we denied it and said you need a waiver, and they haven't submitted anything yet. So obviously we'll keep an eye on that. Scott's also aware of it. Their attorney called. We had another issue out there as well with water for fire protection, but we're pretty vigilant. We at pre-construction meetings, we go over everything. The zoning officer is usually our point person, so they're usually aware of it, Randy and then my team. It is becoming an issue over the last probably 5 to 10 years of people removing topsoil from projects. It's not just here, but we advise our staff and my inspectors to be more aware. It also helps if your code enforcement officers and zoning officers also keep an eye out too. I don't think there's any need for any ordinance changes, but when we do update and make revisions to the Saldo again or any other, I don't have any problem making some changes if, it doesn't hurt to have multiple people notified. I hate to say it, but everything goes through me then anyway. So just because the zoning officer notified, they're not allowed to remove anything anyway. They have to come to the board for approval.
I'm just concerned that there's a difference between our ordinance and the paperwork, because that will lead to arguments and discussions.
No one's argued about, you mean the difference between soil and topsoil?
Yes.
Yeah. Everywhere it says soil except for one place. So I actually like that it says topsoil, and if the resident doesn't have it, we'll be out there inspecting it, but it hasn't been an issue in the past.
Okay.
So I'm not saying it doesn't happen. Believe me, I know it does. In fact, I asked our regional manager what's happening in other township, and it's usually they have 3 or 4 inches, and then you measure here, you measure here, you measure there. But we do not do that typically. We're not the
That would be something for our staff to be doing administratively.
I'm not sure. I'll defer to Scott on mean, yes, I guess your staff can do that, but right now, there's certain things that we're doing, and I don't think that's high enough. That's
Yeah.
an issue. If you hire more code enforcement, yes, they could handle that. We keep an eye on it. It's not like we don't. It's just that I can't catch people from the developers from removing some,
Very
you know,
few
2
people
years.
around doing things they're not supposed to in broad day. They usually wait till no one's watching and at nighttime.
Yes, yes.
Beth, do you have any comment on that?
I mean, part of the problem, I mean, Craig kind of hit on it. What we can, escrow for and what he can be out there and what we can put the costs on to the developer are related to the, the site improvements, the public improvements, all those items. Once it gets beyond that, there would be expenses incurred to the township if you were to have someone there on a regular basis watching when he wouldn't necessarily be able to be there because that work is done. And over the course of, months, years, it would add up for the township.
Yeah, yeah.
And-
Would be borne by everyone in the township as opposed to the person buying the house, who, like everything else, they would be on them to inspect and make sure they're getting what they paid. Any other board comments? Any public comment?
I just have one question.
Your
So
name, please?
Mary Margaret Briggs,
Do this.
35 Forest Park Drive, Shallot. So what happens to common areas when you're in a development that has common areas that may have been graded? Who's checking that? Because you're asking the residents to take responsibility for their lots, but if it's a common area in a development, somebody needs to be monitoring that area.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Common area could be something that an HOA would have a common area, but most residential developments have the private property and then public improvements. Craig, can you?
Yeah, no, that's, ever since we got the notification, and we've been, in fact, I have been working on other changes to the ordinances already that unrelated to this, so, and part of the High Point, they had so much extra, that was part of what we negotiated, was to do 10 inches, so we will inspect that because of a special condition. The part I have is, depending on where you measure, if it's 5.5 inches, am I supposed to say, like, it's hard, especially when it's stabilized. We will look at it. I have no problem. I advise my staff already. The engineers and the construction managers and inspectors and other townships, it's an ongoing issue. So, but we will make every effort to make sure we check that. If the township wants to go out and check the open space, I mean, you can have the zoning officer stop out and do a spot check. There's no problem for that. I mean, it helps to have more people out there.
So administratively, we could perhaps
Yeah.
find some solution.
Yeah, we're adding it. Like I said, there is no permit then for the open space. So that's a good point that, we make it clear it's written 3 or 4 times. Doesn't mean that they're still going to follow it, but the open space, there is no letter going out after construction starts. So we can make sure we do that.
Okay.
There's notes on the plans now. We actually are putting them on the record plan. We put a lot of notes now on the record plan, even though it's related to erosion control. It gets overlooked if it's, on sheet 35 of 40.
Yes.
So, and the county, the other thing is we work real close with the county. We have a great relationship with the county. Actually, speak to Gretchen way too many times now, helping out. There's a lot of back and forth in other municipalities because they don't have enough staff either. So there are some agreements are written where they have to sign off and I have to sign off. But it's not specific to measuring topsoil. So.
Any other comments?
Kathleen Davis, 32 Clearview Avenue. I'm glad to hear that, there's a real awareness that it is a problem and it does happen. It's just hard.
Oh, it is. Yeah,
Yeah, it is. It is just really hard to catch. And of course, what the AC was doing was trying to make tweaks so that there would be a tighter sieve, so it would be easier to. I am a little concerned about the slippage in our ordinances where it says topsoil may not be removed and has to be put in a different file, but then it says soil needs to be a certain number of inches. I believe it says topsoil needs to be put separately, right?
Which, the ordinance where you can't remove, it says soil, not topsoil.
Never says you have to put it. in
It
the-
never says topsoil.
Perhaps.
You
the-
have said topsoil in the past. I haven't corrected you because I didn't know that there's a little, like, it says soil. There's no slippage. It says soil, so.
If you can't remove soil, obviously you can't remove topsoil.
And I am no way minimizing the issue, but we have like, there are so many things that go on in a construction site with like right now we have a fire protection issue with the first homes being built. Randy's involved, I'm involved, the attorney called him, and we're all hands on deck on, the street lights aren't energized yet. There's so many things that go on. And we're not, if they call us to come out, we're not, I guess that's the other thing. Dan and I spoke before, and Scott, we're not out there sitting there 8 hours a day or 10 hours. Well, that's the problem. That's the problem. And everything in all the agreements is public improvements. And in no way is topsoil a public improvement. I do escrow it. I also escrow driveways. I've been doing it way too long to know the biggest issue at the end are trees, soil, and driveways not being paved, but they're not public. Street tree technically is a public improvement, but I want my driveway paved and the developer won't come back. So I've escrowed them. I escrow for replacing topsoil, things like that, all the erosion control. We get a lot of heat in this township that I escrow everything. That doesn't mean that I inspect at the same level I do the water, sewer, the roads, the lights, things like that. So there's a level of health, safety, and welfare I have to apply. I think it's no different than chief a little bit on, there's always speeding. I mean, everybody speeds. So what level is unsafe? And there's a gray area there that I have to monitor on every job. So, but I have made everybody aware of it. We've spent a lot of time at the staff level. I liked your ideas and it can be improved upon. And I really appreciate the open space part because I are checks and balances for the houses, but not the open space. And so.
Right. But all I was going to say was, it would be really helpful next time we go through ordinance changes to
Yeah.
put topsoil.
Yeah, we can do that.
in
I agree with you.
the-
Yeah, it should have said topsoil and it's other places says soil. So it's been like that. I hate to say it, but I think I wrote that back. This was an issue back in early 2000s and people were removing topsoil then. So.
Right, and it's because soil, there's all kinds of soil. And sure, there's soil where they are now, but it's not anything that you can.
And just point of clarification, because everybody's listening to this, the agreements and every agreement is the same with the solicitor, that they can move in under a temporary occupancy permit for an individual lot, that only the lot is rough graded. So that means no topsoil. So that's the tough part. That's where they're moved in, and then I come out and a year later, they put sod down or they sodded the front, seeded the back. And it's a year later, but they're allowed to move in under rough grading because it's not that's as long as Randy signs off on the house and then it's graded properly for drainage, they're allowed to move in without any soil being put in. And that's the problem.
Put down then?
It
Is
can,
ever put down?
that's when it goes down before they get their final. Yes, before they get the final. But that's the problem of the state code allowing, it's not a health, safety and welfare issue. So as Scott's agreements point out and every other attorney, I would like it to all be done when I'm out there and it's not. So then I got to go back out again and do it. So.
And we all realize how difficult it is. That's why we were trying to give some more language.
The next revision we do, we will definitely tweak some of the stuff that you brought up. I have no problem with it.
Okay, and the only other thing I have to say is that I did talk to the Bucks Conservation District about it, and they did a roundtable on it and went around the table, and they all agreed, all the staff people who are all over the county, that it is a problem.
Mm.
And they said the most important way to prevent it that they have found is really giving very stern guidance at the very beginning of the process to the developer. Kind of read them the riot act before anything starts.
But that's why I have the signatures of that lot. You went and looked at, and they initialed that they're okay with the topsoil being placed. At some point that I know that's where the government and the township has to remove themselves because everything's done. It's all occupied and the resident has signed off. That's their chance to say, no, township, I'm not happy. So once they give Doreen that document, sign off, that's when Doreen, myself and Randy are done. The house is occupied and.
Sure. And when you're moving into a house, this is going on too long. I don't want to take the whole night on topsoil. But when people are moving into a house, they're checking boxes, you're signing things, you're not. you
But that,
can't really-
that protects the township then, that's what I'm saying.
Sure, check.
My advice to anybody that's buying a house is to have your own inspector.
And that's advised in there actually of that.
Okay, well, thank you for considering. I'm glad it's recognized and that it's getting more attention. Thank you.
Thank you. Item F, discussion of EAC recommendation for a naturalized landscape ordinance. Scott.
Yes, so, I represent a diversity of municipalities. I've been in cities. I represent Bristol, Warminster, Morrisville, up here in New Britain, all the way up to Tinicum. And I can say the good news is you guys have an ordinance that sort of already allows kind of what this, the idea of the naturalized landscape. A lot of other ordinances, it talks about lawns and, yeah, you can have gardens and things like that. But for the most part, they want the carpet, the turf grass, the lawn like that. And that's sort of what this was developed for. So for those communities where you do have that sort of need for the grass, but also to allow people to use their yards as well to create sort of that standing. In 2.5 years here, we haven't really had the same enforcement issues I do have everywhere else. In Bristol Township, at least 3 times a year, I'm going to court with someone because they got weeds growing too high, their grass is too high. What you guys have that you see with like abandoned house and growth and vegetation, they have that in houses that people live in. We had one that looked like an actual hobbit house. So the good news is you guys kind of already, so where I'm going with this is from an enforcement standpoint, not much needs to be added from the standpoint of this model ordinance to your actual ordinance itself. What I think would be a good way to handle this is, and to talk about it is, with this being a model and giving you an idea, it should need to be curtailed, but a resolution from you guys where it sort of lays out how this will be enforced, because what your ordinance says is, no person, form, or corporation owning or occupying any property within New Britain Township shall permit any grass or weeds or any vegetation whatsoever. And then the caveat, not ordinarily edible or planted for some useful or ornamental purposes to grow or remain on such premises so as to exceed a height of 6 inches within 200 feet of any residential dwelling. And that's an interesting caveat there within 200 feet, because, if you're outside of 200 feet, you have a larger lot, you actually won't fall under this ordinance, and feel free to have whatever type of vegetation properly growing in your yard as you would like.
But the ordinance says for any useful purpose or ornamentation.
Correct. So food,
Plants that grow taller than 6 inches.
exactly. And as long as it's, useful purpose, planted for some use, there's an intention to it, you're cultivating something, it's, it looks good, it has a purpose, regard pollination is a purpose, stormwater management items, things like that. And it also, your ordinance also, properties defined as wildlife refuge, wetlands, detention basins, woodlands, environmentally sensitive areas, those are all exempted as well. So your ordinance actually does a good job of actually sort of taking the idea of what the model ordinance is trying to do and putting it in to a legal framework, your ordinance. Now, is there some tweaks that can be done for in practice and theory as, things go on and people start doing it, that you might want some policy or some written way of how this will be enforced in the future? Absolutely. And that's where I think a resolution could help you, that if this is taken and sort of, tailored to this township, because you are a diverse community. You're more rural, you're more, but there's a big difference between, Brittany Farms, the Highlands, even comparing to, Fairwood right here, and then even farther north and west up by the lake where you have acre properties, different houses, different communities, something tailored to figure out how we can have uniform enforcement amongst those different types of residences might be a good way to help in the future if there is enforcement issues with dealing of, hey, is this ornamental? Is this, how do I know this works? Because, I've been in those fights. Oh, those are, someone's trying to tell me there's some type of plant, but, some type of flowering plant, but we have 8 months of pictures and we've never seen them flower. So I don't know what to tell you. Judge, I'm not botanist, but you know, I have 8 months of pictures. At no season are they flowering. I don't know what else to say. So, you know, they look like weeds to me. Those fights are not easy. They're not fun. So that's why maybe a resolution, if this is sort of, you know,
A resolution to,
explain how your ordinance will be enforced and things like that, if you wanted to go that way.
So essentially, you're saying that our ordinance seems to contain much of what the
Mhm.
proposed resolution.
The proposed model ordinance sort of really deals with how what you have can be implemented already.
Okay.
Is sort of the idea. So to add it as an ordinance doesn't make too much sense from a standpoint of timing. Does it need to be tweaked? You come up, if you wanted to move forward with this and did it as a resolution, as a policy-based thing, it's a lot easier to tweak as things go on. You have a lot more leverage. But it would be needed to be, you know, specified for this township versus just the model that's Pennsylvania broad.
and I can say I don't really recall, I recall one incident in 6 years where we actually took someone to court, but the whole property was
And that's what it normally is.
a disaster. It was, there, nothing was being intentionally cultivated. So perhaps a resolution that we encourage certain things as opposed to trying to define, I mean, if I grow sunflowers this year, they're going to be 6 feet tall, but they're being grown for an ornamental or useful purpose. The other question is just how many complaints do we get about people growing tall plants? I can't recall too many.
I'm aware of zero, so
Just high grass.
yeah,
really is
it's normally high grass. And, you know, the code officers, the people that, you know, they do this, you know, this is their job. They can take a look at a property. They can tell the difference between something that's cultivated, being done properly versus
Weeds.
unmanaged overgrowth.
Any comments from the board? Questions?
I think what we have is adequate at this point, unless we're looking to try to strengthen it with a resolution of some sort.
Yeah.
I don't see the need at this point.
To change the ordinance.
Change
Yeah, I don't see a
Yeah.
need to change the ordinance.
to
but
change
maybe-
the ordinance.
Yeah.
Do we need to make a vote to direct you to?
Just hold on.
No, I'm asking him the
Oh.
question, do we need to make a vote?
If you wanted to have something prepared, yes, you would, but until.
Any questions or comments from the public?
I'm not quite sure what just happened.
I'm not sure either. So just
Just-
come
I
up with
was
the
asking-
comments.
I was asking Scott if we would need to vote on
If we would-
directing him to make a resolution.
if
And
we
he
would
said
need to
yes.
pursue that.
So we're still at does this public want to have any comments?
I mean, Kathleen Davis, 32 Clearview. It sounds like you've decided that you don't want an ordinance. I'm not sure what would be the reason for not wanting to, of course, you never adopt a model wholesale. The model is something you work with and you choose what elements of the model are appropriate for your township. That's what models are for. So I don't know what the difficulty with that would be for when the next time that you're packaging up some ordinances that you wouldn't want to include that. I'll just say this, one of the beauties of this idea is, one, it really lets the township residents know that this is a priority. This is something encouraging a more naturalized landscape is something the township not only is going to say, okay, you can do that, but yeah, we're for this kind of mode of thinking about how we live in our environment and what we do with it and how we care for it. And a second is that ordinance had lots of really good, and maybe your ordinance, your resolution would say this, such an area must have a border. It must have precise indicators of being intentional. It cannot have any standing water. It cannot have any noxious plants, et cetera. It goes into some detail about that. These things have been tested for a very long time by these groups that have partnered up with naturalists, and lots of people understand the need for doing this, lots of organizations that do, and they have found out what neighbors are concerned about and gotten underneath like what's really happening there. And in the long run, they have figured out not only how to prevent neighbor complaints, like by understanding ahead of time what those complaints tend to be about, but to get more people on board, right? To give the kinds of signals that people will walk by and say, oh,
So
you know, what is that? So that's what we were trying to do. This is something we're encouraging native plants. We're having a native plant presentation.
let me ask you something. Is
Mhm.
there some reason that a resolution for the same purpose would not be effective? The only thing an ordinance is going to do is to have an enforcement action against somebody. So if I have a native garden that's grown outside of whatever little border I've made it, so now it's, we can have an enforcement action against me for that, whereas under our current ordinance, we can't.
If there's.
But
a-
I'm thinking that a resolution to encourage native landscapes might be just as effective as stating our purpose and our desire, as opposed to putting it in an ordinance, which then someone's going to pick apart and ask that we enforce against somebody.
Oh, my understanding is that it would be an ordinance that could be enforced against someone who came and tried to tell you, you can't have your plants.
No, an ordinance tells,
Sorry, it
Right.
goes both ways. Yeah, it's the mechanism of which I recommend they do it like the dark sky, like did a resolution.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at it one way and Madam Chair just showed you that there's the other side of that enforcement's enforcement when it comes to an ordinance. There's no black and white. We can use it and then your neighbor can call and say, hey, they're violating the ordinance, where a resolution, that enforcement is just not there. And I mentioned about how the dark sky, I thought was a good idea, and they did it as a resolution, something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean,
Yeah, so for the purpose you're saying that, hey, I'm allowed, go to the neighbor, I'm allowed to do this. You can, and that's kind of where the resolution comes in, and you point to the fact that the ordinance already allows, that's what I'm saying, the ordinance already allows for this. By adding some of these things, what Mary Beth and what we're trying to say is, it now gives that neighbor something specifically to point to. It's like, oh, well, so-and-so, their thing got 3 inches outside the border and there's extra flower, you know what I mean? Like, and now we got to go out and look and blah, blah. It gives them more ammunition to try and make those complaints. Whereas the way our ordinance is currently written, I think in our view, favors the person who is doing the naturalized landscape already.
So shall I make a motion that we would direct our solicitor to draft a resolution to support the naturalized landscape theme?
I would second that motion.
Does that sound appropriate to everybody?
And I would ask that
Well,
that
then we
he
can
work
take a
with the
vote.
EAC, or the
Yeah.
EAC could provide suggestions for a resolution to that effect.
Like a resolution to provide clarity for people.
Direction and, yeah,
Not a naturalized landscape is just weeds.
yeah.
Okay, so.
All those in favor of that motion, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Works for me.
We can discuss it
Yes.
further.
No good.
First stab at her. All right. There we go.
G, discussion of the following zoning hearing board applications of 112 Ruth Lane and 130 Bates Drive.
1 second. There we go. All right. So, our office, we reviewed both of these zoning hearing board applications. It's our recommendation that the board take no action on either of them. They're both two residential projects. One consists of they were asking for a 15-foot side yard setback to accommodate a 5-foot metal ramp for ADA purposes for home entry. They would normally require a 25-yard setback, not a project that normally needs your attention. And the other one is an addition. It does have a rear yard setback for 40 feet. They're asking to put their addition and go in 20 feet into the setback, as well as go to 24% impervious coverage. Again, this is something that our office, we looked at. This can be handled by your zoning hearing board. They properly evaluate and impose any conditions that they think are appropriate should relief be granted. So our position is to take no action.
Anyone have
I agree.
opposed to that?
I agree. We shouldn't be taking the action. Let the zoning hearing board do it.
Okay, all in favor? No, we will not be sending the solicitor. H, consider a motion to hire Indian Valley appraisers to appraise parcels for open space preservation. Scott, or I can discuss this. This is we need to have a specialized appraiser that can appraise for purposes of open space preservation to comply with both state, federal, and local laws and ordinances. We have discovered one in Souderton. Indian Valley Appraisers has an appraiser that can do this for us. In your packet, I believe, was the pricing, et cetera, and the qualifications of the individual. This individual, I could state, has worked with the Heritage Conservancy. I believe is qualified. Do I have a motion to hire Indian Valley appraisers for this purpose? A second?
I'll second.
Any board comment? Any public comment?
I'll give my name too. It's 373 Creek Road. So can you tell me, are you going to appraise properties before there's an interest or
With
what
the,
properties you're gonna appraise and when?
we can't discuss that in public.
Okay, just wondering if that was gonna happen before.
We're hiring an appraiser if in fact there becomes something that we are interested in and want to acquire.
Then we will have a qualified person to do that.
Any other comment? Hearing none, call the motion. All those in favor of hiring Indian Valley appraisers, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Information items, departmental reports. We're going to things, would you like to discuss administration?
Yes, I would.
Okay, thank you, Alex.
So I'd like to talk about the website. We've had the website now for a year. Happy birthday, website. So the last time I talked about the website was 11 months ago. We had about 100, just shy of 100 people who had signed up for email alerts and about 2,300 active users. As of today, we have over 300 people signed up for email alerts and over 31,000 active users. And we have over 90,000 views, which is huge.
Wow.
We peaked on Fall Fest last year. So September 20th was our highest view day, which is kind of cool. So I thought I'd share.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Yes.
you.
It is a wonderful upgrade.
Yes,
Did a great job working on it.
it's good investment.
Yes, very good investment.
And that's all I had.
I'm going to skip over administration. But
That was
administration. And move on to finance and welcome our newer employee, Finance Director Alex Nagy.
Yes. Going to be talking about the February 2026 statements tonight. You might be thinking to yourself, it's April. Why aren't we talking about March financial statements? Just so everyone knows, typically before we present these statements, there are several checks and balances that take place. We reconcile all of our bank accounts, we review line items to ensure nothing was misposted, and we investigate anomalies. This typically takes about 5 business days, which unfortunately tends to fall just after this board meeting. So that's why we're going to be talking about February 2026. So the township is approximately 17% of the way through the fiscal year for February 2026. The big revenue line item this month was the real estate transfer tax for new construction. We've already generated approximately $52,000, which is 45% of the annual budget, which reflects strong early year activity. It's great. All major revenue sources, such as real estate revenue, real estate tax revenue, earned income tax, and local services tax, are all tracking in line with expectations for this point in the year. Obviously, we don't have a lot for real estate tax revenue yet, but that's going to be coming end of March, early April. And general fund expenditures are at about 14% of budget. Again, this is below 17% of the way through the year, so we are right in line with where we need to be. Other department updates, we are continuing to optimize payroll and accounting systems to improve our efficiency and reduce our time spent on recurring tasks. We're working with our software provider to develop enhanced monthly financial reports for both supervisors and the department heads to make sure that we're tracking our revenues and expenditures throughout the year. We're also reviewing escrow activity and developing clearer, more user-friendly statements to help applicants track their balances and replenishments. We are strengthening internal controls to enhance checks and balances, and a couple updates about audits. The 2026 DCED annual financial report was submitted by the March 31st deadline. Woohoo! We are on track for our full audit to be completed by June 30th, 2026. We're not anticipating any findings at this time. We've also been engaged with the Auditor General for the pension audit. They're looking at the years of 2021 through 2025. I expect that to wrap up hopefully in about a month. So that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask about snow removal plans.
No, I won't ask about snow removal yet. I'll wait until the March report comes out.
Okay. Okay. Park and Recreation, Public Works, I guess we'll,
Do it.
okay, thank you.
So I have February and March for both. So Park and Rec and Public Works in February both did a lot of snow and ice. They had 4 winter weather events. And they plowed one event, and then they also plowed 2 different times during that same event. So there was a lot of salt used. There was just a lot going on in February. And then in March, they did a lot of maintenance on vehicles. They did a lot of pothole repairs. And then Park and Rec, as you see outside, got started on the playground and pavilion work. So playground is gone, and so is the pavilion. We're excited for that project to get underway.
And Park and Recreation put on the Easter egg hunt,
Yes, yes.
which we understand everyone enjoyed greatly.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
thank everyone that was there volunteering to work it. Okay. Police report, Chief.
Yes, Madam Chair. So you have February and March reports in front of you. Just a couple highlights. We did get the 4-way stop sign installed at New Galena and Sellersville. It's been successful to date. However, last night, we had some criminal mischief, vandalism to a particular house right there in that area. And they spray painted one of our stop sign ahead signs while they were at it. So that's being rectified by Public Works. And then the other highlight is that our drug take back is April 25th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We'll do it here and at the Giant in New Britain Village Square. Of course, we have both boxes in the lobby and in our lobby that actually get used quite often.
Really? I always forget it's in the lobby.
I don't.
Chief, how is the residents of that intersection, New Galena and Sellersville? Have they found it to be a much better intersection for them now, getting in and out of their own properties?
We haven't spoken or gotten any feedback from them directly, but
Okay.
based on some of the prior complaints that we had from them, I'm sure they're pleased that there's no stop sign there.
Have we had any accidents since?
No, everything's been good to date. That was my,
Okay, so hopefully it's solving that problem and, we'll go on. Anything else? Any upcoming events that I'm not announcing later?
just a drug take back.
Okay. All right, engineers report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was kind of chuckling because I use New Galena a lot, and the people that I saw so far, I was telling the chief at least one, I know I've seen two. It's people in Sellersville that do a rolling stop versus New Galena where there's so much warning, but it's still the same thing of if they can see coming the one way on Sellersville, they just do a rolling stop. My son was driving once, we thought he was going to hit us. And then I had it happen again now last week. So it's people just like to do those rolling stops if they can see, and no matter how much enforcement you do.
See that.
What? Yeah, it just happens. So anyway, you have our March engineers report. I don't have any changes or additions. Just like to note that we will be having a planning commission meeting on April 28th. As of right now, there's several small minor subdivisions. Sometimes they do not come, but we're finishing up those reviews. There's quite a few, a couple on Curly Mill Road and one another minor subdivision on New Galena Road. So sometimes they just get a letter and then they proceed to preliminary, but right now they are scheduled for the April 28th Planning Commission meeting. And that's all I have.
Board of Supervisors comments. Bridget, I'll start with you.
Just want to thank all of our wonderful volunteers, staff, public works, township staff, Parks and Rec. Who else was there? Was in the freezing cold. It was a really cold day and windy day for the Easter egg hunt. It was great. The kids loved it, even though it was freezing cold. They all had a lot of fun, and they got to see the Easter bunny. And I will wear more layers if it's that cold again in my bonus bunny suit. But yeah, it was a great event. It was really nice to see. So just thank you all for coming out, and I'm looking forward to, more township events. I always love attending them.
Easter egg hunt was wonderful. It was great to see the kids running around actually out on the field for a change. It was lovely. Thank you, EAC, for sending us your recommendations. It's always good to have communication from our committees. Did we have the bingo since the last one as well?
Oh, we did have the bingo, yes, and that was a very well-attended event.
Yes.
I don't think I have the numbers on,
They were setting up more tables as it was starting because it was so well attended.
oh, okay, well, we don't have the official numbers on how much was raised, but I would like to say we haven't had to take out extra tables in the past, and we did have to do that this time. That was a very good.
A lot of
problem
fun.
to have.
Yes.
So we are looking forward to doing that again next year. And it was, I think it was we had moved it. Usually we have it a little bit later in the year for the Veterans Bingo. And maybe because there was less competition, because other people have their bingo events, I think that helped. And being tied near St. Patrick's Day
Yes.
too
Fun theming.
was
Yeah.
definitely a
Very
fun
festive.
theme. So
Yes.
it was very festive and super fun.
Yes. I want to thank both the police and the public works for getting us through another snow season, but it's complete. Everybody was safe and we didn't have too much overtime, I don't think. Oh, yeah. we did.
It's not even, yeah. Alex is giving us, so
Yeah,
maybe,
there was.
maybe there was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Payroll begs to differ.
I'll just emphasize, I would like to thank the police and public works for all their diligence this winter.
Yes,
We'll not go into how many hours we're spending in it.
but we appreciate it.
I just wanted to comment on the bingo. It was a really fun event and it was really great to see some of our township staff there as well, which was something new this year. So I was glad to see them there supporting it and some of them winning some prizes as well. But it was definitely a fun event and well attended. Thank you to everyone and thank you to all of our staff for everything you guys do.
And I'll just reiterate our thanks to the police and to Public Works for getting us through. And unlike some of my other board compatriots here, that's why we exist, to protect the residents and to make it a safe community for everybody. So it takes overtime. It takes.
Oh, okay. Complain.
We would rather have no snow and not have to do that, but
Yes.
No,
but-
but we do
Yes,
appreciate.
We
the effort.
appreciate them getting us through it safely and keeping our residents safe, and that's why we exist. So
Well, overtime, if we didn't have overtime, they would be doing it during working hours. So I would thank them for their dedication, for being outside all those wonderful nights
Two-
and the weekends that they had to
2
work.
weekends in a row, they had 2 48-hour events. So yeah.
Yeah, didn't have a lot of time at home with their family, so certainly the sacrifices were appreciated.
Any other public comment on anything that's not on the agenda? Yes, please go forward.
Mayor Rose Kennedy, I'm on Blossom Hill Lane in Tower Hill Grove, and my granddaughter won the prize for the egg hunt.
Oh.
I now think she's going to expect to win it every year.
We're so glad that you were able
Lot of
to
fun.
bring her out.
Oh, well, thank you. All right, announcements. Our spring yard waste collection is
Tomorrow.
from tomorrow, Tuesday, April 7th through Saturday, April 11th. We have the mobile office hours for Representative Labs and Representative Monroe here Wednesday, April 8th at 10. I think they're here from 10 to 12. The Veterans Committee is meeting Wednesday, April 15th at 6 p.m. The Zoning Hearing Board will be meeting this on Thursday next week, April 16th at 7 p.m. We are canceling this Board of Supervisors meeting for April 20th. We are canceling Park and Rec Commission meeting for Tuesday, April 21st. The Planning Commission meeting will be April 28th at 7 p.m. We will be having the mobile shredding here at the township on May 2nd from 9 to 11. And the EAC Rain Barrel Workshop will be held at Highlands Park on May 2nd from 1 to 3 p.m. As Chief said, we're having a drug take back here on April 25th. And that's it. Have a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
A second.
All those in favor? Aye. Aye at 7:58 p.m.
That meeting is?
Next meeting is
May.
May 4th at
May.
7 p.m.
May the court be with
With
you.
you. I knew you were going to.